like that.
All right, okay. Now, what did Vladimir Putin say? Tucker Carlson. First off, for those that saw it, and if you didn't see it, you didn't miss much. Don't waste your time. It was in part a history lesson. The rest of it was just pure propaganda. And you know, Putin played his role very well, came off as a cool, chill, calm and collected individual. As he's supposed to, you know, he's playing the middle here. He's playing this type of conservative archetype that the West, at least the conservative right, conservative aspect of the West look up to. So he's being built up like this alternative view, this reactionary view. Really, really interesting. So let's talk a little bit about it before we start really going in on this.
February 22nd, 2022, you addressed your country in a nationwide address when the conflict in Ukraine started. And you said that you were acting because you had come to the conclusion that the United States, through NATO, might initiate a, quote, surprise attack on our country. And to American ears, that sounds paranoid. Tell us why you believe the United States might strike Russia out of the blue. How did you conclude that?
It's not that America, the United States, was going to launch a surprise strike on Russia. I didn't say that. Are we having a talk show or a serious conversation?
Here's the quote. Thank you. It's a formidable series.
Oh, serious. Okay, all right. Because your basic education is in history, as far as I understand.
Yes.
So yeah, listen to this clip of Hillary. Here we go.
From so many outlets in the United States, I would not be surprised if he emerges with a contract with an outlet, because he is a useful idiot. He says things that are not true. He parrots Vladimir Putin's pack of lies about Ukraine. So I don't see why Putin wouldn't give him an interview, because through him, he can, continue to lie about what his, objectives are in Ukraine and what he expects to see happen. It's really quite sad that not just somebody like Tucker Carlson, who has, as I said, been fired so many times because he seems unable to, correlate his reporting with the truth.
So again, here we have the building up of the dialectic, right? As if Tucker is some type of truth speaker, someone who's been removed from the legacy media apparatus of sorts, as if he's out here acting upon his own volition and speaking truth to power. And of course, you get the progressive view that sees this as a danger. Now, the difficult part, I guess, when it comes to geopolitics, especially when you understand the esoteric, it's really difficult to understand what's truly going on and how when it comes to these wars. So I guess the detailed political stuff, I think, is almost pointless to sift through just because you don't know how much of it is true. But we do know people are losing their lives, and populations, whether that be Ukraine, Gaza, populations are being used to, in my view, develop specific types of technological regimes. I believe all of these wars at once, creating this what you call it, World War 3.0, is really a war about technology, especially with regard to pervasive AI and the new internet that's coming, and all of the technology infrastructure needed for these things. And I know this to be the case due to the position Israel plays in all of this, which we did a whole show on, so I won't repeat myself there. But I have some things to share you about Russia as well that plays a key role in all of this. What you discover is that these wars are definitely about resources, etc., but just pure development R&D is huge. And unfortunately, people have to lose their lives and be displaced for this type of thing to occur, but it's always been the case. Right? This has always been the case when it comes to war. The funding of both sides, et cetera, et cetera. So here's just to give that progressive dialectic side here. We have the Atlantic. If Russia wins, Republican obstructionism could lead to global disaster. So here we have the building up of sides, the poles, right? It's the conservative Republican right teaming up with Russia. And the other side of the dialectic is, of course, the progressive left coming in for the support of Ukraine as well as Gaza right now. And we also see the Republican rightist perspective coming in for Israel, promoting the Zionism. So again, real things are happening, right? But overall, these are dialectical, and unfortunately, massive shifts are occurring through this process, and we will see a massive shift culturally and economically speaking, just like we did post 9/11. And today we might touch on that a little bit with regard to the Super Bowl, but that will be at the end of the show. Now, I thought this was a funny part here. In the Tucker Carlson interview, he brings up AI, and the response was pretty interesting.
So when does the AI empire start, do you think?
Yeah, sure.
He almost didn't know what to say, because that's what all of this is about. In great part, we'll say, in great part, is AI development. AI will be reconstructing the earth as we know it across all institutions and industries, public health being a huge one. We'll be touching on that in a minute here. Now let's go to another one of these mainstream, I would consider controlled op representatives of quote unquote truth. Of course, Russell Brand. And listen to this perspective here, just this quickly here, what he says. And I think this speaks directly to this, what I call alt prop, like alternative media propaganda. And they're trying to build up this, hey, there's an alternative to what you're hearing in the mainstream. Pretty ridiculous, but this is what we're being told.
Because we are interested in emergent independent media, which just might be the most powerful force on the planet right now. Consider this: if Tucker Carlson can interview Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk can publish it on X, that means that all of us are going to gain access to a perspective on a topic that could change the trajectory of world events that the establishment would rather we wouldn't have. 2 years.
Yeah, that is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You guys aren't surprised by that. So we see this building up of this alternative media that I think is really interesting, because as industries are changing, massive PSYOPs are happening, possibly a really big one coming soon. I know the Super Bowl is being marketed as possibly the next big one. But it seems like something is going to happen, because there's this big push for all of these trustworthy media truth speakers, almost as if we're being corralled into this certain direction of people to listen to, alternative voices to listen to once this new thing, whatever it may be, happens. We're seeing the almost the emerging and joining of Tucker, Russell Brand, Alex Jones, and even Elon Musk. It's so interesting. They're all coming together under this, nominal libertarian type of technocratic resistance. It's really interesting. And we've been talking about this for a long time. In 2023, I believe, we were talking about the new right is being developed. And I think that is just playing out perfectly here. And here we have Israel continues to do their thing. Israel bombs target Gaza's crowded Rafah as the U.S. warns Israel against sending troops there. Now it's interesting, you're seeing even the West kind of say, hey, chill out, man. This is a bit too much. But that's not changing anything at all, because there's a big goal here. And there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of aspects to it. But when you see what these countries are building technologically, it all starts to make sense. And then recently, the other day, Biden had a fit on stage as usual. Biden confuses presidents of Mexico and Egypt after defending fine memory. Now, for me, it just looks like we're seeing the changing of the guard, right? It's like the old guard is going out and the new guard is coming in. I believe what we're seeing with Prince Charles is an aspect of this. Of course, what we're seeing with Biden is an aspect of this. And what we might most likely see with Trump over the next 5 years is definitely a type of passing the baton to the new world, I guess, the new world guard, right? Which will be young technocrats. And I think this is what we're seeing with the effective accelerationism, as well as techno-optimism, this whole concept of American dynamism and techno-nationalism, this big push towards chip production, AI development at scale. All of this is showing us slowly but surely who our next quote-unquote overlords are going to be. It's no longer going to be this old, decrepit, quote-unquote white supremacist old world idea of aristocracy as we're taught in progressive education. But no, in fact, it's going to be the revenge of the nerds, as it were, where we have young, detached, asocial individuals hopped up on Adderall and preoccupied with gaming and software development, making the decisions for the future of humanity, and they will be from all over the world. All shapes and sizes and colors and creeds. Well, not to say creeds, because they all kind of have one creed. But this is what's happening, right? It's the old guard is going out, making way for the new guard, and it's pretty interesting to see, especially watching this falling away of Biden. And it is a theater like representation. This is a show. It's like the death of the American West. But interestingly, it's not that nationalism is going anywhere. It appears as if we're going to be taking on a new type of technocratic nationalism. They call it techno-nationalism. So nationalism just might get a reboot of sorts, but it will be much different than the nationalism we've always known, fortunately. Now, I think you guys have you heard about what happened recently in Chile? Chile. Let me show you some images here. This is wild, man. It looks just like Maui. Exactly the same. I believe this is just another example of the smart territories restructuring or construction, getting rid of certain locations to rebuild and rebrand. It's really horrible to see this happening once again. And I'll be following this story to see if I get anything that relates to what we saw in Maui. All right, now let's get into this World War 3.0 quickly here before we go into some deeper stuff. World War 3.0, the battle for emergence of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And that's, in my view, what this is all about. All these wars, whether it be the Ukraine situation, the Gaza situation, and what's coming. Right? We know a lot of other countries are getting involved here. And then you'll discover that all these countries have their own little Fourth Industrial Revolution project. That war is just allowing them to shape and develop in real time, with real life, unfortunately. The battle of the emergence of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, this is a war about technology and the new axial age. Now, I know this is probably no surprise to anyone. A lot of people have been talking about the Orwellian aspect of this whole time and the Huxleyan aspect of this whole time. And of course, I've always stated that it's somewhere in the middle. It's a little bit of both, but surely more so Huxleyan. I mean, we've been talking about this since the beginning of this channel, but it's playing out more and more, right? So I can't help but see things aligning in this way. Let me show you what I mean. Orwellian technocratic superstructures. It's almost as if we're just seeing playing out before us in the news media this endless battle between Eurasia, East Asia, and Oceania, right? Does it not? You know, I think of Eurasia being like the Russia, Middle East board, and like East Asia being a China, Ital. And then, of course, Oceania being the Five Eyes, and of course, Israel. And they all have some overlap, right? I think in the middle, where they all overlap, is the fourth industrial revolution, the development of such. And then we see other overlaps. I know Five Eyes and Israel overlap with China regarding biotech and AI specifically. And then, of course, we have to look at the trade between, say, Russia specifically and China. Big trade, especially if we just think of the Shanghai, the SEO pact they have with China and Russia, as well as the clear tie between Russia, Middle East, Five Eyes, and Israel, which is pure war. Right, so there's a major war thing going on between these two that is a part of the fourth industrial revolution. And then, of course, the biotech and the AI is just another massive development process right now. So pure war, just to really define what that is, of course, first, let's just talk about these wars in general. The wars serve as a means for the ruling parties to maintain control over their respective populations. The perpetual state of war creates a sense of fear and enables the ruling parties to justify their totalitarian control and manipulation of the masses. The wars also serve as a method of resource control, technological R&D, and labor power, with each superstate vying for control over valuable territories, resources, and populations. Let's continue. Five Eyes is the intelligence, coordinated organization between Australia, New Zealand, UK, America, and Canada. Continue here. Pure war, goodness. I don't know what's going on with my images here. Pure war is a concept introduced by philosopher Paul Virilio in his book of the same name. Virilio posits that pure war is the invisible war that technology is waging against humanity. He argues that the distinction between war and peace has ceased to apply due to the militarization of science and the military-industrial complex. This shift was initiated by the technical surprise of World War I, which revealed that the wartime economy could not be separated from the peacetime economy. So again, we get into this historical relationship between technology and warfare with regard to cultural, social, economic, and political transformation. It's a tool. War is essentially a tool. And getting this idea of pure war has to do with exponential warfare, right? That keeps a certain type of fear, state of fear, confusion, and insecurity and anxiety in the populations, but also a steady and consistent flow of funding and technological development through weapons, etc. So this is very, very advantageous to world powers, as well as their common goal, which is a type of singularity. Every country has their own version of this, every single one. Now, we have to talk quickly before we move on. We have to talk quickly about Russia's role in the fourth industrial revolution. And I think this is something people often forget, or maybe they're not even aware of, actually. And before we go in there, I want to show you a couple slides here about just this new populist media alt-prop, I call it. It's an image to give an understanding. Agent truthers, right? Big time. Big guys in the big time telling the truth. That's oxymoronic. Doesn't make sense for anybody that knows what's going on. We'll be hearing more from Snowden soon. I think this is by design. And we're seeing all of these guys come together under a type of umbrella. They're all becoming more and more famous and more influential if you're paying attention. And that's by design, in my opinion. Now, I thought it was interesting. Twitter, and this interview, was crazy. It got 100 million views in 14 hours. I call it controlled competition. Of course, it's controlled opposition, but it's also controlled competition in that it's this pseudo or false sense of competition against legacy media. This creates a type of dialectic, of course, a dichotomy that legitimizes a type of independence when they're not independent of each other at all. It legitimizes this idea of truth coming from these organizations. Five Guys, Joni. You know, Five Guys doesn't cook their burgers with seed oil. Yeah, they use beef fat. Interesting. And I can't say the same for their fries, but just something to know. Those that are into the animal diets. Anyhow, let me continue here, man. Control competition. So I saw this tweet from someone, and I thought it was interesting. Kind of describes in a surface way how the right is just totally being just manipulated through this. It says here, this same audience who for aesthetic reasons have aligned themselves with Putin as they see him as the figurehead of a purely idealized conservatism that is antagonistic to Western degeneracy. Never mind that Putin himself doesn't live a particularly Christian life, and that Russian society has high rates of alcoholism, domestic violence, prostitution, sex trafficking, etc. Will then go on to adopt policy positions that toe the line with Putin's agenda and urge their political leaders to do so too. So I think what we're seeing here is something along these lines. The conservative right, as always, under attack, because I believe the conservative view, especially the view of the right, is the last semblance of, let's say, dissent and resistance against some of these very highly progressive and neoliberal ideas. But the problem is we're getting neocons and quote-unquote conservatives that are actually neoliberals in the positions of influence. And real conservatism, in its true sense, in a Burkean sense, just doesn't exist anymore, right? It just doesn't. And this isn't to say that I think Burkean conservatism is going to fix things or could fix things. It's just these are, as I've said before, anachronistic concepts that no longer fit the time. And unfortunately, these concepts, though anachronistic, are being used to build up proxy wars, to fight their battles. And unfortunately, everyone's just kind of being steered and nudged into this single direction of technocracy. Okay. So 100 million views. That's crazy. And so there's this really big kind of conservative podcaster, I guess, named Benny Johnson. I think he's done a little research. I think he's one of the best examples of a really like shill kind of conservative platform where it's just shilling the mainline narrative, pushing the left-right false paradigm. I mean, just this work couldn't be. You just can't get a better example of total social engineering. Okay, and this view he's promoting here is Tucker won, right? He won. He beat Fox. It's so amazing. Again, it's just a great example of controlled competition. Listen to what he says. On average per night, Fox has 1.85 million views, MSNBC 1.22, CNN 582,000. In less than 24 hours, Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin already has 141 million views. Corporate media is dead. It's such idiocy. I mean, I can't expect much from these types. I mean, these are industry, like, this is show business, these guys, right? I get it. These are big moneyed and funded show business entities here. And even with YouTube, right? You look at Twitter, 163 million and only 9.5 on YouTube. So what I see happening with Elon Musk and Twitter, now X, is really being pushed and promoted to be this kind of app that ends all apps, this one-stop shop for income, for the public commons, news. It's interesting how everything is becoming so centralized under this false libertarian idea of decentralization. But see, they get away with it because he's playing the role of the anti-hero. He's playing the role of the independent guy who's, outside of the system. He's an outsider, similar to how Trump was accepted when he first came in. It gives them a type of appeal from the common man, the common folk, and it's very, very effective, extremely effective. Old guard legacy media to new alt prop independent media. I call it alternative propaganda. That's really what I see with all of these big Benny Johnsons and Tucker, all of these like super blue-pilled this social engineering platforms. And really, it's this whole centralized, decentralized media false dichotomy. They're the same. It's all centralized under the guise of decentralized. And I see this coming together of them all, whether it be Musk and of course Tucker now. They're like cultural mediators, right? That's how I see them. They're playing this like middleman position, you know, trying to bring everything together. The political aspects, the cultural aspects, but also the technological. They're all coming together. And they're all playing their part. Tucker's doing a very good job at really reeling in the political aspect of things, really getting a grip and a hold around the mind and the behavior of the conservative right, especially the conservative right that's so fed up with what's been going on over the past several years. And then you have Musk playing his part technologically, creating the centralized digital system through his app that will eventually, most likely, be a type of digital ID, where everything happens there. He's even said he's gotten rid of his phone because now X is his phone. He communicates through his platform now, right? You see the centralization. This is that technological transformative pattern I've been talking about. The pattern is we all start to live through these singular, centralized, insular devices, whether they be physical devices or immaterial devices like software applications or algorithms. And as you see here, these guys are playing major roles in the geopolitical realm. They're touching all the corners, all the proper zones: Russia, Israel, China, bringing it all together with the support of the people. And that's by design, in my view. They're playing their role perfectly. Middlemen between mediated culture and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Elon Musk is the main character. And we understand this is a super big meme right now. Oh, he thinks he's the main character. Oh, she's the main character. That's by design as well. I think it speaks to the avatarship that's coming. It speaks to the multiple selves, the meta selves we have on profile social media platforms. But it also says something of some truth in that he is this narrative's main character right now. Main character. An anti-hero is a main character in a story who may lack some conventional heroic qualities and attributes such as idealism, courage, and morality. They may exhibit traits like narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism, and often offer a critique of social morals and reality. The anti-hero archetype is a complex character who may be cynical, highly intellectual, and have good intentions despite their flaws. Something to consider. Let me show you how powerful and why I think he is a type of main character. Main character. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is Putin's words here during this PSYOP we just saw with this interview here. Listen to this.
There are reports that Elon Musk has already had a chip implanted in the human brain in the USA.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think there's no stopping Elon Musk. He will do as he sees fit. Nevertheless, you need to find some common ground with him, search for ways to persuade him.
Wow. He's talking about this guy like he's some global power. He's going to do what he wants to do with the earth, with the minds and data of billions of people. I mean, do you hear this? It's pretty revealing. Oh, well, Elon Musk is going to do what he wants. Who is this dude? Other than some, businessman. Think about the power here. Think about the influence here. How is this being allowed? There's many wealthy people in the world with good ideas and businesses, etc. Think about the type of ideas and businesses that Elon is bringing to the earth, especially considering singularity. There's a reason why he's being allowed to just run amok, as if, oh, we can't do anything about it. It's like technological determinism, but it's like Elon Musk determinism. We're just going to let him, he's going to do what he wants to do, but we just got to try to give him some limitations and work with him. Like, what is this? How is this possible?
I think he's a smart person. I truly believe he is. So you need to reach an agreement with him because this process needs to be formalized and subjected to certain rules.
That's Putin, the leader of Russia, saying, you know what? I can't stop Elon Musk. We just got to let him do what he does and hope that he makes good decisions. It's like, I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing to see the level of power this man has. I mean, it's sick, especially when you consider all the support he has. Now, before we move on a little bit here, let's talk about Russia's role in this. Fourth Industrial Revolution. This is a 234-page document. Of course, we're not going to be able to read it, but I just want to show it to you. For those that get confused with these false dichotomies and psyops between these countries, they're all doing the same thing. Right? We're moving towards a type of multipolar singularity. Russia 2030, Science and Technology Foresight, Higher School of Economics, National Research University. Okay, so it's all here, 234 pages. Okay, we don't have time to go through, but they're not doing anything different from the WEF. They're not doing anything different from the Moon Project, Moonshot of Japan. They're not doing anything any different from Israel, what's going on. They're all doing the same thing. Biotechnology, it's all here. It's all here. Every single one. Medicine and healthcare, molecular diagnostics, biomedical cellular technologies. Yes, biosensors, biophotonics, bioelectronics. They're all about it. Creation of human genome databases, bioelectrodynamics, and radiation medicine. It's all here, guys. They're all doing the same thing. Hybrid materials, that's the metamaterials, nanotechnology, what World Economic Forum talks about. Convergent technologies, there's the BDC. There's the BDC, Biodigital Convergence, NBIC. Biomimetic materials and medical materials, it's all here. And of course, all based on computer modeling. This is the new science. This is the death and the end of empiricism. We're going to full-on computer-generated modeling now. Total virtuality, even medicine.